Okay, good morning. Happy 2026. Happy New Year. I hope you've all had a good Christmas break, festive break, holiday break, whatever you want to call it. It's been quite a year. So first I'm going to start off by saying thank you for everyone who tuned in and listened to episodes over the course of 2025. This has been a really great year for the podcast and long may it continue. So I wanted to just jump on, just say what I've got coming up for the next month or so. I've always kept guests kind of like I've never announced guests ever. I don't know. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. I'm just going to give it a go. So who we got coming up this month, probably for the next 4 weeks. We have Nick Fitch, who is a product of NIJO, which is the National Youth Jazz Orchestra. He's a session guitar player and teacher based in London, and he's gigging all over town. Scott McEwen, who is Tom Jones' guitarist, and he's kind of really stepped up in the world of, I don't know if you want to call it celebrity, but yeah, I'm seeing a lot of him kind of dotted around social media. He's had a new guitar pedal that's come out. He had a fuzz pedal come out in the middle of last year. Brad Williams, who is a US based jazz guitar player. Again, I'm just seeing him crop up on my Instagram a lot. Some really, really good lessons. Really interesting ways of thinking about the guitar and the guitar neck and music in general. And there's a lot of nice physics in there, talking about diodes and capacitors, and shit just goes over my head. But yeah, really, really, really engaging, really interesting content. And after that, we got Ruby Colley, who is an Ivor Novello nominated composer and violinist. So I'm really looking forward to talking to her. Yeah, and that's kind of what we got coming up for the rest of the year. I also want to talk about some of my most listened to podcasts over the year, and I just wanted to chat about them. So Adam Goldsmith was the third most listened to podcast in 2025. Now the numbers are kind of, because Adam's podcast was out a lot longer than some of the others, but as we've gone through the year, the numbers have kind of increased. I'm kind of thinking that people that would have had the podcast and episode towards the end of the year would have had bigger numbers, but I don't know. Well, I don't know. I can only go by the numbers that I've got. But yeah, Adam is probably one of the only session guitar players in London who can still call himself legitimately a session guitar player, I think. And he touched on this on the episode that, the term session guitar player is kind of an old term that isn't really used anymore, but everybody seems to put session guitar player on their CV or on their Instagram or on their, on their social media. And while sessions do happen, I still do the odd session every now and again. It's not something that we can do like full time as a job. We've got to kind of diversify and do other things, functions, wedding gigs, tribute bands, artist gigs, teaching. All of those things kind of go towards, making our income. So Adam's really cool. I'm hopefully trying to go down and do a sit-in for him sit-in with him. He's currently playing on Starlight Express in town. Was actually slightly outside of town, but really cool guy, really lovely guy. It's really nice to meet him and chat to him. A lot of these people that I invite on my show are people that I really admire, people I really respect, and I feel very fortunate that they agreed to come on and donate an hour of their time. Chapman Welch was the second most listened to. This guy was just a phenomenal country guitar player, just a phenomenal musician. But I was drawn to him just by his country playing, his hybrid picking and his flat picking, his bluegrass playing. I find that when I go into these different zones of what I want to sort of learn, I can't stick with one thing that I want to learn for very long. Like 6 weeks or so, I find I kind of wander back through genres. So I was kind of in this really kind of hardcore country guitar playing, and he just cropped up and he was like, wow, man, this guy's blazing. And yeah, again, really lovely to talk to. Such a lovely guy. And I personally got a lot from his talk. And so I would recommend you go and check it out. It was a really good talk. And the number one listened to podcast was Danny Rabin, who I fucking love this guy's content. I think not only is he's cutting to the bone the truth about, music education and what people are doing and how people are learning. He's also I didn't realize just how good a player he was and just how good a musician he was until I really started to dig into his music and into some of his lessons on YouTube. And I think he's just such a funny guy. I think he's so engaging and doesn't pull any shit, doesn't doesn't pull any shots. He calls it and tells it like it is. I was first introduced to him with his Berkeley rants videos, as he was calling them, ranting on Instagram. Yeah, and it's such a difficult thing to kind of be overly critical of a school that you went to, that you paid to go to, and then you see it kind of, I don't want to say nosedive, but you see it shift its perspective from arguably one of the greatest music schools in the world, and it just kind of shifts into more of a business. And I think that's true of all music schools, and it's really sad. I've spoken a lot about my time at the ACM, and I was invited back down there a year ago, 18 months ago, and kind of walking around, it's like, man, this place needs a lick of paint. There's like gaffer tape holding up stuff in the practice rooms, and they're charging huge fees to go there. It's like coming up 10 grand, I think, for a year's course. And, you need a lick of paint. The paint's falling off. The shit's being held up with gaffer tape. It's not ideal. It's not ideal. So those, I would recommend checking out. Well, I'd recommend you checking out all of my episodes. You should binge them all, driving to gigs. Those three in particular, those are the three most listened to. And yeah, it's been a really, really interesting year. And I'm really looking forward to what's coming up. I've got a lot of people that I'm talking to that I'm trying to get in and on the show. And yeah, I'm just excited. I'm going to try and be more consistent than I am. My goal is an episode a week for the year, which would be 52 episodes, obviously. But sometimes life gets in the way. I've got family, 2 kids. I'm off gigging. Sometimes shit gets in the way, and I don't think that we can beat ourselves up over it. I certainly don't. The other thing I want to talk about is things like New Year's resolutions. Like, I've never been into New Year's resolutions. I've always kind of just, if I want to change something in my life, I try and do it there and then. I don't wait until January 1st. But, I think it's important to set goals. So I was going to list off some of the things that I would like to do this year, things that I'm going to aim to. So I'd really love to get a jazz duo trio up and running. Guitar and vocals predominantly, dropping in another instrument would be great. It's something that I've been listening to more and more of, jazz, and it was something that I tried to get into many years ago. Many years ago, and I just wasn't listening to it. But now I'm kind of in this place where I'm listening to it a lot. Like, I'm listening to it on the way to gigs. I'm listening to it on the way home. I've put it on in the kitchen when I'm doing dinner and stuff. And it's just becoming part of my oral dinner. It's a horrible phrase. Yeah, it's just becoming part of my listening. And when I go back and listen to music that I used to listen to, like in the early days, like, it's not, that music isn't having the same impact anymore. I don't know if I'm just growing up, I'm just getting old, or I've just listened to it too much. But yeah, listening to jazz, it's totally different to what I kind of grew up on and what I learnt as a beginner musician. And it's something that's really challenging as well to try and play. So that's something I'm going to crack on with. So yeah, jazz duo, more theatre shows. So I'm going to look to do more theatre shows this year. Got to make sure I put my teeth in when I say that. More theatre shows. I think I did 5 or 6 last year, so I'm going to just look to do the same or more. More would be better. Trying to find a theatre that is close to home. At the moment, I seem to have a residency, or I called a lot to do a theatre down on the south coast, and it's about a 90-minute drive for me, and just trying to find somewhere a little bit closer to home would be brilliant. And I'd like to do a full run panto at Christmas, so I'm going to have to find a theatre that's close, and I'm going to have to get in there, and then I'm going to have to get the call to do a panto. So I think I did 3 pantos over the last year, but they were just depths. I was just covering people. But that's it. I'm going to do more recording and writing of my own material. I've got this beautiful studio here in my home, which I haven't even begun to utilize. I've had a few drum sessions in with some people, with some friends, and this year it was a goal for last year, but I never made it happen. And so that's a goal. That's a musical goal for the year, is just try and write and record more. No, write and record original music. I can't say more because I haven't done it yet, at least not since having kids. So yeah, that's kind of a rough outline for the year. There's some other things that I want to do which don't relate to music, which if you're interested, I'm going to do some more. I do a lot of kart racing, so I'm going to be doing more outdoor karting. I'm going to try and maintain my weight. I've managed to get my weight down to a place where I'm happy with. I'm going to try and maintain that. And yeah, family holidays. I'm going to try and do more time with the family. Read more books as well. I'm going to try and read more books, actual books, not Kindles. I can't read Kindles. There's something nice about having an actual book. So at the moment, I'm reading Lord of the Rings. I'm about halfway through that, and I've got The Old Man and the Sea by Ernest Hemingway on the way, and a book by Alan Watts. I can't remember what it was called now. But yeah, a little bit of philosophy, a little bit of life. That's kind of where I am. So there's nothing that I try not to set things in stone, like I must achieve X, Y, and Z. I like to give myself kind of a broad palette to try and work with musically and in life, just so that it gives me a little bit of scope to kind of adjust things. So, and I think that's important. And also, I think that, I think it's really good to set goals, but I think it's also important not to be too hard on yourself if you don't make them. There was a bunch of goals that I missed for last year, which I'm actually going to read them out. I'm going to get that up on my phone. I said I wanted to reach the British Indoor Karting Championships national final, and I fell short of that. I didn't make that happen. Just had a rough day racing, and yeah, it didn't happen. I said I wanted to learn a Chet Atkins song from start to finish, and I never made that happen. Over the course of 1 year, one song. I thought when I set it, yeah, I could do that. 1 year, one song, no problem. There was 2 songs that I was working on. One was Mr. Sandman, and the other, I think it's called Maybell or Maybell. I'm sure it's Maybell, something like that. Which I probably got 70% of the way there, but it just wasn't the thumb finger picking thing. You've really got to nail it for it to be convincing. But I got, kind of halfway through that. But they sound all right. The others, I wanted to do a 5 and a 10K run. I didn't do either. I don't think I even did a run last year. Maybe I did, but yeah, I can't remember. It was pretty pathetic. And writing and recording original music, which I didn't do at all. I did some recording of some covers, which I just kind of trying to get used to the sound of the room and the recording equipment, all the mics and everything. So I thought, we'll record some covers just so I can kind of get myself in on it. But yeah, it never materialized into original music. But that is a goal for this year. So that's it. Yeah, but I'm not beating myself up over it. I did lots of really cool things that I'm really pleased with. I'm really pleased with how the podcast was going. I'm really pleased with landing more frequent theatre gigs, reading gigs, pit gigs, orchestra gigs, whatever you want to call them, and getting calls and recommendations from MDs and musicians that I've worked with. So yeah, I tend not to dwell on the things I didn't do, but yeah, what I did do, I was really pleased with. I think I had a good 2025, and long may that continue in 2026. The other thing I'm going to say is, if you would like to get in touch with me regarding anything, regarding the podcast, regarding music in general, the best place to find me is on Instagram, and that is Tim Love Guitar. That's my handle on Instagram. Come over, say hello, drop me a message. I always try and respond back to people. I do get messages from people, saying that how much they like the podcast, and that really does mean a lot to me. So yeah, if I don't know what you do on Instagram, but yeah, come over, say hello. I always try and reply back to people, and yeah, that's it. So thank you for your time. Thank you for tuning in, and I will see you on the next episode, which should be out this Thursday, which is the 8th of January. They usually go out Thursday night around 7, 8 o'clock, and they're all ready for you Fridays, Saturdays, if you're off gigging. So yes, I hope you're well and you had a good festive period, and now we're kind of back to the grindstone. Well, musicians aren't back to the grindstone. I don't know about you. I've got I got 2 gigs and a tax return to do, which is just shit. I've had a few people message me like asking if there's any gigs that they hear of, and I'm like, at the moment, 2 gigs and a tax return. I think that's what most people have got. But yeah, I hope you have a lovely January, and we'll try and get through January as best we can. It does seem to last about 6 weeks, but we'll get through it as best we can. All right. Thank you very much, and we will see you soon.